Hey guys, this is Adam Amble from the A to G Show 2.0, episode 13, about to start in 1 minute. Tonight we discuss issues with the NBA returning. My boy Colin Cowherd puts out an asinine tiered list for college football. What will limited attendance mean for ticket prices? And we discuss some of our favorite sports memorabilia, plus some B&O. So join in the fun, and welcome to the A to G Show 2.0. All right. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to episode 13 of the A to G Show 2.0. I am Adam Amble, coming to you live from Castle Rock, Colorado, on yet another scorching Tuesday evening. Joining me tonight is the G-Man himself, Garrett Collier. G, how you doing, bud?
What's up, dude? Good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. How's Nashville been treating you since you've been back down south there, buddy?
It's been going. It's good to be somewhere that's not quarantined, although it seems like all these places that are opening back up might be posing some problems. But at the same time, it's been nice to get to play some music and watch sports with people, not, by myself locked in a bedroom.
Yeah, right on. I heard, you've been doing some shows and stuff. Unfortunately, that's why you couldn't be join us last week. But how'd the show go, man?
It was good, man. People are coming out in droves, which is cool. I think everybody's kind of been starving for some live music or something to do. So people are coming out and people are listening. So it's always nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good to have you back, man. And don't forget, after the show, make sure to head on over to the M Factor channel over on YouTube and subscribe. We really appreciate it. There is a link in the description, so click on that, leave us a like. And, of course, if you missed the show tonight or just want to watch it again, let your friends know, let your family know, then it'll be posted on the M Factor page later tomorrow. And if you want to scoop up some M Factor merch, head on over to the M Factor merch store. We got some newly designed attire published this week. We really appreciate the support, and hey, sporting some M Factor attire might help get the brand out there. So thank you, everyone who has already purchased their favorite items. There's a link in the description on Facebook, so check that out when you get the time. Again, we really appreciate it. Now, let's get to the action tonight. Don't forget to leave us your comments over there in the comments section. We always want this show to be interactive, as interactive as possible. So make sure to voice your thoughts, and let's have some fun. So, G, tonight we're going to start off with, of course, the whole NBA getting closer and closer to firing up, right? And it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Besides the whole Kyrie Irving noise and some of that action, there has been some concerns about the format, it being in a bubble, right? The NBA, with how the NBA is handling this. G, first of all, what are give me some of your likes, and then let me know some of your issues, of course, with the NBA trying to return quickly, especially with some of the spikes that are coming up now, right? Especially in Florida and whatnot. But virus aside, what are your pros and cons of the NBA coming back with this team format?
Yeah, my likes are that there's going to be basketball and it's going to be on TV and we get to watch it live. I don't have to watch any more old games. Another like for me is that I think it's going to get more people watching the NBA than normally do. I think some of these begrudging basketball fans who aren't huge professional guys anymore that only watch college normally might come over to the NBA because it's all they're going to have for the foreseeable future. My other likes are just that it's playoff basketball. It's going to be great basketball to watch. And there's some this is one of the more wide open NBA seasons we've had in recent memory. It's not Cavs Warriors for sure, or either one, neither of those teams are going to be in the finals for the first time in who knows how long. It's been a long time. So, it's really wide open in both the East and the West, right? Both teams in LA could easily win it, or a couple other teams in the West. And in the East, we've got Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, a couple different teams. Even Miami looks really good. So the fact that the NBA is so wide open right now makes it more interesting. The cons, obviously, the biggest con is player safety is a huge concern right now. Like you just mentioned, the cases in Florida are through the roof all of a sudden again with things reopening. And so I guess the biggest con is it really going to happen? And then the other cons are obviously just the format is a little bit strange. This condensed regular season, not all the teams are going. That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think that they did a really good job compromising, trying to make it short so that, not everything is pushed too far back for next season, while also getting as much basketball in as we could. And we're getting full playoff series. My worry was they were going to cut the playoff series, like the first 2 rounds, to best of 3. And nobody wants that. The best of 7, that's the best part about baseball and basketball and hockey, is the best of 7 series. So I'm glad that they were able to keep that in. But yeah, more than anything, I'm just excited for good basketball.
Yeah, it is, and you mentioned a couple good points there, G, and some that I really agree with. First and foremost is getting basketball back in action. The fact that they stuck, I was a little worried too if they were to go to that 3-game series and whatnot. Now, don't get me wrong, whenever they come back with something like this, you never know. It could be a diamond in the rough, right? To where everyone's like, "Holy crap, that was really fun with the 3-game series." The sense of urgency. But I totally agree with the 7-man or the 7-game format, 7-game series. That's exactly what makes it fun in my eyes, anyway. That's because you kind of get the sense of urgency, but also not every game is do or die, right? Unless, of course, it's Game 7, right? So,
right.
As far as the safety of the players, there's some things to be said about that. Of course, young athletes are probably the safest and healthiest. It doesn't really the virus itself doesn't really affect them. I'm more worried about psychologically with these players. They're going to be in a bubble. They're going to be away from their families. I think I just heard that they are going to allow after the first 2 weeks that the families are going to be able to come and visit. But I mean, these guys, they're leaving their families. They're going to play in a bubble. They're going to stay in hotels. I mean, traveling. I know I've traveled, to like Mexico and stuff, and I know for a fact that staying in a hotel isolated for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, not being able to see any friends, family, that's a pain in the butt. That is not fun. That really wreaks havoc on your psyche. So I'm curious to see how that affects their actually mental stability, not so much from their physical health from the virus, but just some of their these guys. Hopefully these guys go snap. Are the games going to be rather feisty because they are? That's you got to think of that too, G. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the more NBA that I've watched the last few years, it gets chippier and chippier every year. There's more and more guys that have little rivalries going on, and there's more and more team rivalries slowly coming back into the game. And like you mentioned, a lot of these guys are just creatures of habit. They do the same thing every game day, right? They wake up, they go to their barber shop, or they go to their local whatever they do in the morning. They drive into the stadium or the arena, and they're there all day hanging out waiting for the game. For instance, it's a bad example due to the way that he passed away, but Kobe flew his helicopter every day to the arena before the game. That's what he did. Mm-hmm. And can you imagine throwing him out in Orlando and that's not what you get to do? It's going to mess with some of them at least a little bit. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think they all kind of know it's their job. Their job is to go in there and play basketball. And I think due to the fact that it's almost immediately playoff basketball, it's essentially do or die mentality from here on out for these guys, especially these guys in these teams that are 6th through 10th or whatever in their conference, because they're fighting to get in, and those guys at the top are fighting for home court. So. It's pretty much business as usual, I think, for them this time of year. I mean, if you think about it, right now the season would be almost over anyhow. So
yep.
I think it's going to be It'll be interesting to see if they're chippy, if it's clean, good basketball, because everybody's ready to be back playing.
Yeah, and I think it will be a little chippy. I think you're going to see some tees flying out, some flagrants, some intentionals. Because don't forget, I mean, they're also being bunked with, not really bunked, but obviously these teams will be in like the same hotels. So, I know for a fact that even if you stay with like what you would consider like your best friend, you're gonna get sick of them 3-4 days. Nothing but if that's the only person that you see, you're gonna just want to head to the arena, right, and get some basketball in just to escape that. And I really think that these guys are. I think it's going to be a big test mentally. This will be a big, not only leaving their families, right, because they're coming from all over the country. Yeah. It's going to be tough for them to leave their families, and well, I guess who knows? Maybe some want to leave their families since they've been quarantined with them.
Right? They're ready to go.
Exactly. They're like, come on, let's get this started, right? Let's get it going. And I could see some of that, but. You kind of mentioned it just before this, G, and that is, do you think? I think it's a good opportunity. I'm on the pro side of how many teams? What is it? 22 teams
Yes.
that are playing, and I'm on the pro side of that because you do get some teams that probably wouldn't make the playoffs, right? Now I do feel
Yeah.
there's a little bit of buzz because you got to get your cash mate. You got to get Zion in there somehow, right? You got to get him
Right.
in there, some of your cash crops, and of course that's fine. You know, I don't care about them bending. This is abnormal time, so I don't mind them bending the rules
Right.
a little bit
Right.
to get your top players in, because you know that's you wouldn't watch the Pelicans anyway, you know, any which way unless Zion was playing, right? Unless
True.
Zion, you
Very
know,
true.
they wouldn't fight to have those guys in there. But I do think now, who do you think really from the time off? Let's say, G, who do you think really benefits from this time off?
It's not going to be a popular answer if you're not a fan of the guy, but LeBron James. I mean, he's older. He's been in the league quite a while. He's got, I think this is,
Yeah,
Callie
yep.
and I were talking about earlier. This is like his 17th season in the league. He was a rookie in '03, I believe. And so maybe 16th. But anyhow, guys like that, guys that have been in the league for a long time, that's bodies are beat up, that had the season was getting along. Maybe they were thinking about some load management coming down the stretch. This is the greatest version of load management for those guys. They just got 8 to 12 weeks off, depending
Exactly.
on
It's a perfect
when they shut down. I mean, these guys that are veterans, I think the young guys like your Jaws, your Zions, your Luka Doncic, your Devin Bookers, your Donovan Mitchells, all these guys, they can go all day. I mean, I know that's like, we've talked about that in the past, that it's like a silly thing to say that the kids can run around all day, but they really can. They're just, their bodies are younger and in better shape. But
sure.
I mean,
That's just science, right? So
yeah, not to say that LeBron is in bad shape, but an 82-game season beats him up a little bit more than it does these 22, 23-year-old young guys. So I think he's definitely the one that benefits the most from it. And I think the Lakers as a whole benefit from it because they've got a bunch of veterans. Anthony Davis isn't that young anymore. They've got
and
JaVale
injury
McGee
prone, right? And injury prone. So
exactly. Guys who are dinged up, banged up, or veterans, I think, are the ones that benefit. So I think the Lakers have to be looking at this as a do or die year for a championship.
Oh, I totally agree. What do you think? Are you kind of bummed that Kevin Durant basically said, "I'm shutting it down"? He would be returning. This was the time frame that he said he would be returning.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying, are you bummed? I agree with what he's doing, but from the fact that because imagine coming back and be like, he said you're gonna take a year off. Okay, well, actually, he said you're gonna take. He said he was gonna take the season, right? He's gonna take the season to heal, and like you mentioned before earlier, the season is technically would be wrapping up right now. Right
about now, yeah.
So it's kind of a play on the vocab, whatever vocab you want to use. It's been well over a year in terms of days, right? In terms of days, technically the season would be over. But this is where you want to fail on the safe side, right?
Well, not only that, I think it would be different maybe if Brooklyn were in a position where they really looked like without him they were decent, and with him they could really make a run at it. I think Brooklyn is still one, maybe even two really good guys away from it. I think Karis LeVert is starting to play really good for them, and Spencer Dinwiddie is playing, and they have Kyrie and KD, but I still think they're a piece or two away, or somebody's really stepping up. So it's not, if they were in like the 3 seed and he'd only missed the last 15 games before quarantine and his injury was starting to heal now, maybe he pushes to play. But because of the position that the Nets are in, I just don't think it's necessary. Like you said, you want to err on the side of caution. He's a veteran as well. He's been in the league for over a decade now. No reason to rush back and do something silly and injure yourself in a second-round playoff game in a series you're going to lose anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, exactly right. That's kind of where I was going with that is, I'm bummed that he's not in it because it could have made
cool
for fun.
For sure.
Yeah. It would have been fun, but totally agree with his decision and more power. It's going to make it fun next year because Karis LeVert's been stepping up and I'm just ready to get it going. I'm going to actually have some more knowledge. Like I didn't have that much last year because I didn't really watch the NBA. Right. So, we do got some comments here real quick. Steve Fox, good to see you, Steve. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Scotty Yu, good to see you, Scotty. Guys do big free agent contracts next year. Have no incentive to play. I mean,
it is going to be interesting to see what of those guys, because I think they had to make their decision by noon today, and no big names really. I think Davis Bertans is one of the only guys who said he wasn't going to play. But the question is, like, do they do like load management of any kind? Are they going to play 40 minutes a game in playoff games? I don't know.
That's what's going to be fun, G. I think it's really going to be fun to see the strategy changes.
AD is one of those guys, is he not? Didn't the Lakers sign him? I think they signed him to a 1-year deal. I think he's up to be a free agent again this year, and he'll get a huge contract whether he stays or leaves.
I agree.
So if AD doesn't love playing with LeBron, I don't know anything about it, but I'm saying if AD is looking to get out anyway, he might shut her down a little bit if the Lakers are struggling. It's going to be super interesting. I don't know. I don't know what will happen, but yeah, that's a good point. Is that these guys that, as of right now, right, have played good so far this season. It's hard to use that word because it ended, it seems like, but the guys who had good years this year that are due for big contracts don't want to risk injury. They also don't want to risk playing bad. And the playoff basketball is a different beast. If you watch an NBA regular season game versus a playoff game, I could show those to a non-NBA fan, and they're going to be able to tell which one's the playoff game.
Yes,
and which one
yep,
isn't.
I
the
agree.
intensity is ramped up. Everything's turned up to 11, and you can get you're going to get more shots blocked. You're going to get the ball stolen from you more if you're not ready to match that intensity. So it will be interesting to see how those guys all play and how many minutes they all play.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You can absolutely show we'll say the mediocre fan, right? A non-fan
Right.
might not understand the intensity because they probably don't watch sports at all, really. So
Right,
they might
right.
but yeah, absolutely right. Now it will be tough this year because you won't have the fans and stuff.
That's going to be so weird.
I know. I really, we've talked about it week after week, and I really hope they pump some crowd noise. At least maybe they don't even have to do it in the arena. Let's just do it on the TV.
Have you been?
I pump sound effects. I can pump. I'm an amateur. Gee, I can pump
Right.
sound effects into this show all day long.
Have you watched? I'm assuming you probably haven't. You haven't watched any of the soccer that's on, have you? No, that you aren't. I assumed not. They are though. They're pumping. They have recorded chants because you know how the British soccer fans.
It's
are
a
loud.
big one. Yep, it's a big one.
The coolest thing about soccer is the crowd. Especially the people like you who don't like the game. So they're pumping it into when you watch the broadcast on TV, it's as if there's a crowd there. It's really cool.
Now, so they're pumping it into the actual stadium, or are they just doing it over the broadcast?
I believe it's just on the broadcast.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, like I said, I think they should really draw who has the home court advantage, and these guys are smart enough. I could do it, for crying out loud. These guys are smart enough to know when to pump crowd noise.
And what kind of crowd noise?
Exactly right, and exactly what type of crowd noise. You can tell when a team's going on a run, and then you can dial it down. When the coach calls a timeout, and that might be some good strategy for the coach, right? Because the coach knows, hey, it's getting too loud in here. We need to call a timeout or something.
Right.
I think that'd be a great thing to do. But Steve predicts Lakers versus Bucks in the finals. Steve, not really a stretch there.
That's kind of chalk, yeah. But I mean, I tend to agree. I like the Clippers. I think the Clippers are really good, but I don't see them beating playoff. Like I've said this in probably 15 of these episodes. The playoff LeBron is a different LeBron, and I think the Bucks. I mean, I don't know how the Raptors beat them in a 7-game series last year. I don't see them losing to anybody this year. I think that would be a great final series though, because I think if anybody can slow down LeBron, it's Giannis. So that'd be super fun to watch.
Absolutely. I think the whole thing's really gonna be fun to watch. So
Me too. Me too.
Let's get on to our second subject, and this is gonna be a fun one because just today we had to switch it up, folks. I know in the preview it said it said that we were gonna go over the MLB, who actually I think they just struck a deal during today, right?
I don't think they really struck a deal from the way I understand it.
Not officially.
The commissioner was like, "Hey, you're all playing, and I don't care what you say."
Right.
But it seems like it's what's happening. But yeah.
So it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna do it, right? But yeah, I really think that so we could have baseball soon. Not I think this holdout again has really destroyed some of my urgency to watch because the NBA is going to come back. The MLB really blew it simply because they could be back and we could be watching baseball. And it could be one of the one of the 4 major sports that's televised, right? So, all right, but let's head into our second subject, and that is my boy. You guys all know from the show that I love myself some Colin Cowherd. Listen to him every day, but he came out today with and I saw G actually tweeted this earlier because I saw the list too. And I saw the list too, G, and I really wanted to tweet it myself, but I figured, this is a great subject. We could talk about this for probably 20 minutes, which is what we're going to do. Let us know, folks. Thanks for joining the A to G Show 2.0 tonight. Adam Amble with Garrett Collier. But my man Colin Cowherd came out with a 2-tiered list of college football programs that the most important college football programs, that is, top college football programs. And I have some thoughts on this. And, G, like I said, I saw you retweeted the list. What do you agree with and what is just a stretch, buddy? We'll go to the list here in a second. Give me a quick 1-minute opinion of what did you think of the list first and foremost?
I mean, listen, I don't like Colin Cowherd. So to me, I have no issue going in on this. if you make any list discussing the last decade of college football and Clemson isn't 1A
Okay,
or
yep.
1B, what you lose all credibility in my eyes. Dabo Swinney has built a powerhouse. Whether you like the ACC, whether you respect the ACC, the fact that they have stepped up and rivaled Alabama in the playoff repeatedly, the fact that they beat Ohio State in the playoff last year. I mean, I don't have any stats pulled up on this. I don't need any stats pulled up on this to know that in the last 10 years, Clemson is light years ahead of USC. Are you kidding me?
So let me do this real quick, G. I just put up the list for the folks at home to see, and
sure.
Now to put some context to this, I don't know why he brought this up. He was like, "It is good." I think he was talking about the home and home series between Alabama and Ohio State, which is I'm super excited about it. I'm glad that happened. Right?
Oh, for sure.
That is fantastic, but as I look at this list, and he was like, when I first saw it, I was like, "What? You have USC up there right now?" I mean, they haven't been relevant for years since what? Reggie Bush
Literally
and Matt
since
Leinart.
2006,
Yeah.
2006.
I mean, come on, let's go. And that's I hate to bring up the age, G, but that's like most of your a lot of your sports loving life, right? That's
right. Well, the first national championship game that I ever watched live was the USC Texas '06 game. With Vince Young and all those guys, so I haven't really gotten to watch USC be good at all.
Oh, great, yeah. So it's kind of like Michigan beating Ohio State, right? You just don't see it. So
I don't. Yeah, that's a foreign concept.
Exactly. So I look at this list, and the first thing I thought was, well, there's no way USC. And some of you, older generation folk, JC, if you're watching, not to call you out, but we need to know how. I need to know how USC is on here, and I know actually Steve Fox brings up a good point, which is what I was getting to. Cowherd's super pro Los Angeles, right? He's super pro. I mean, he grew up in Seattle. He grew up in Washington State. He's a big fan. I think Russell Wilson's like his favorite quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Was a big Seattle fan, and then he moves to LA. And of course, you have to really. Of course, he's going to put that on there. The coast kind of forgets about the center. The coast, New York, LA, kind of forget about the center part of the country. But as I look at this, USC was just insanely ridiculous. I was like, they did have the juice back in the day, Marcus Allen. But let me get.
And that's fine, but that was 60 years ago.
And that was what was crazy, because he brought up like, I don't like teams that won national championships back when you had to ride a train to get to the games. But his thing was, he stated, okay, these four teams are great teams with winning a national championship with three different coaches. I was like, okay, well, Michigan did too. I mean, Michigan did, but again, it was a long time. It was a long time ago.
Right.
But then he brings up, if you take the best coach of each of the tier 1 programs, so you take the best coach of Alabama, which is obviously Saban, and you put him up against the best coach against any of the tier 2 teams, they win 90% of the time. He said Ohio State. He brought up Woody Hayes. Now, Steve.
That's a terrible argument.
Yeah. Now, Steve, he brought up Woody Hayes and Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's a better argument than Woody Hayes, I feel, because like him and Bo go like 50-50 or like 500? You have to let me know how both of those guys went. So that's not really an argument. But that was kind of his way of, he was like, oh, this is how I judge this. And I was like, okay, this is a real big stretch. We got JC says top college football programs now. I missed the tweet. It wasn't a tweet. He actually said it on his show today. This is like what you see on the screen right now is exactly the list that he put up, Colin's top college football programs. Steve Fox says USC, Texas, and Miami have been fairly relevant for years now. That's correct.
Right. All three of them.
That's correct. I'm not really upset with the tier 2s, but if I'm going to go with all history, G, I'm going with Alabama. I would go with Michigan, Notre Dame. And then if I'm going straight up history, I would probably still go with Ohio State, because Michigan, Ohio State was college football for a solid 30 years back in the great war, the great with Woody and Bo.
Right.
I know I wasn't alive. You weren't alive, G, but Steve Fox. Oh yeah. Okay. So 5-4-1 in favor of Bo. So the argument wasn't even correct in terms of statistics from my boy Colin. Hopefully we'll have to tweet this at him and be like, come on, man, your stats aren't even correct.
It just, I guess to me, it's difficult because all-time college football programs, you have to put Michigan in there because we have the most. If we're truly talking all-time, we have the most wins, the best winning percentage, blah blah blah, whatever. If
Well,
you
be
want
careful,
to talk
G.
about, if you want to talk about the last, you want to say like right now, then how far back are we including? Are we including the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever? Regardless, unless you're going back 15 years, even 20 really, Clemson belongs in that top tier, and there's no question about that. Miami doesn't belong in that second tier unless you're going back 20 years. There's no question about that. Texas and I mean, it's a weird list. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I don't
know
really,
what he was trying to prove, and I don't know what he was trying to say with this list. It doesn't make sense.
it all came out because he basically said that Alabama, Ohio State is going to be great for college football. Totally agree.
Agreed.
Totally agree.
Completely agree.
Yeah, but then he came out with these two tiers of top college football programs. And I was like, well, I'm looking at this list. I'm like, Oklahoma, top.
I mean, they're great. They're great.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like the tier 2. There's no argument against the tier 2. Most of those squads in there. Okay, I agree. Like if it wasn't okay, so let's break it down like this. G, Alabama. If Alabama isn't great, then we got in the SEC. What do we got? Auburn, Florida, Georgia. Okay, I could, or LSU, right? I can agree with that. One of those teams are going to win it if Alabama isn't great. And I'm only playing devil's advocate because I totally agree this list is kind of nonsense, especially tier 1. Okay, so you got the ACC, which is touted as probably because Clemson's been the only really good team in there the last 5-6 years.
They're probably the third or fourth best conference.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're gonna say that, then I'll put. So maybe that's why maybe Clemson isn't really in there because.
But what about their playoff performances?
That's true. That's exactly.
Why does that not matter?
Exactly. And especially, I think you could put Clemson as probably the up and comers if you were to stretch out the timeline.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right.
Like has been the last decade.
Yeah, with Dabo Swinney and stuff, and they're always there. But Florida State, you could say Florida State, Miami. If you look at the ACC teams, you got Clemson, Florida State, Miami, right? Okay, yeah. I get it. Florida State was awesome back in the day. Miami was the U was obviously insane back in the day.
They both stink right now, though.
Exactly, and I think maybe that's why he put Clemson in tier 2, simply because. That's their conference, right? That's it.
I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my youth by saying this, but there's just no way Clemson is. I get that USC was great, but if relevancy, I guess that's the way I should say this: is if recency has any bias, or if we're talking about right now who the best programs are, then it's Clemson. If you're talking about all time, then I guess, but you have to put Michigan in then. That doesn't make either way. The list has huge flaws in my opinion.
All time, not a chance. Clemson, not a chance. Florida State, not a chance. Miami,
but Michigan. Sure.
You got to go. If you're gonna go all time, I'm going historic teams, right? Historic teams. You got Alabama, probably Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame, and then probably Ohio State. I'm sorry,
Ohio State or USC. Then I can see USC. We're talking all time. I can see USC, but not Oklahoma over Michigan. No way.
And my boy, let's see. What do we got? JC says, Garrett, no, Clemson only the last 10 years. Yeah.
Right.
Again,
I agree.
That's kind of, and Colin actually brought that up too. If you're going recency biased, then of course Clemson is going to be in there. Steve Moschluck. Steve, what's up, man? Tier 2. Steve Moschluck's a big Florida State fan, by the way. So sorry, your team. Hey, we went through it, man. We feel you.
How's Willie Taggart treating you right about now? Or is he gone? They get rid of him already? I don't know.
I mean, I can't believe Florida State's even in tier 2. Come on. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, but I could see it. But because these are historic. When you think college football in the country, in the world, because that's why you got to throw Michigan in there. In the world, I mean, they still lead in or second to maybe, I believe it might be Texas. I looked this up when a couple months ago when there was a debate between you and some Sparty fans about Michigan being the most hated college football team. I'm like, they're still number 1 in sports apparel sold, in sports merchandise sold in the world, So actually, it's tough to say relevance. Of course, Michigan should be in there. Of course, we're biased, everyone. This is on the M Factor channel, right? So of course we're a little biased, but still.
I'm not trying to say if we're not including the the early days of Michigan football. If we're not including like Bo and everything before Bo, if we're throwing all that out and we're saying from Lloyd Carr to now, we absolutely don't belong in Tier 1. We belong in Tier 2. But then if that's what you're doing, then USC has no place in Tier 1. So you can't, like, either way, I just think this list is just kind of silly.
Yeah, and we really needed to know the actual why.
Context.
Yeah, exactly right. Moshluck's still talking smack. Norville, man, come on. Got to be good in something when you're not winning national championship. Take the apparel war. Okay, well, yeah, I'll take it. We're talking relevance here, Moshluck. So,
and fifth in the ACC.
Yeah, and that dreaded ACC.
Tough road schedule.
Yeah, I know. Oh, what do you got? Well, I guess you only got Clemson, but I could see
where NC State on the road. Watch out.
Woo! Oh, now he's gonna come back with like Illinois or something.
And then we can bring up the fact that we have 2 perennial national title contenders in our conference.
Yeah. Yep. And you got yep, exactly right. All right. Well, that was good stuff. That was a good.
That list is just so dumb.
Well, yeah, and
I can't get over it.
Did you listen to the actual commentary on it? Or?
I have not heard the commentary.
Okay, take a listen to it, and to be honest with you, everyone watching, take a listen to it. It was on the Herd today. It's on. You can just freaking Google it or just listen to the replay. But yeah, I was shocked, especially because Cowherd's actually a pro Harbaugh guy. You know, he always has Harbaugh's back. Yeah. He likes Michigan. I think his wife's from Michigan. I think she's from Chicago, but she grew up, I think, in Michigan.
Right.
But so that's that was interesting. I enjoyed that. That was fun. So again, we're gonna roll on to topic number 3 because of kind of in the spirit of college football. Let's rock topic 3 again. Adam Amble, Garrett Collier. A to G Show 2.0, episode 13. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Make sure to leave your comments over in the comment section. Thanks for joining us tonight. So, G, we're going to rock on to topic number 3, and that is with the limited capacity at some of these stadiums, especially in college football. There's been some surveys sent out. There's been some Twitter surveys. There's been a lot of, alumni or, a lot of college football people, I guess you'd say, asking, what does this do for ticket prices coming in? There's a lot to analyze here. What does this do to ticket prices in the fall? For one, I'll say one is the students. How many what's the ratio of student tickets to just regular alumni tickets or season ticket holders? Who gets first dibs on the season tickets? And then 2, what are just normal tickets going to go for, do you think? Do they even sell any normal tickets? Do you hold a lottery? I mean, what was your first thoughts on, okay, 1, what are they going to charge? And 2, how are they going to break it down?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great question. There's a reason that it's being discussed right now. I don't claim to have any brilliant insight on it. I think the students that are in college deserve to get to go to the games. I don't feel that they should be punished. Not punished, that's not the right word, but that they should miss out on their college experience. If they want to go to the games, I think they should absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, G.
A casual fan like you or I, we can go to a Michigan game whenever we want for the rest of our lives. But these kids only may have 4 years at the university, and then they move back to whatever foreign country they're from or other state that they're from, for example. And I don't want them to be robbed of that. I think they should get first priority. I really do. I think the boosters probably will get first priority because they're the ones that are giving the university a lot of money. But I guess if you're going to give the boosters first priority, fine. I can see why it makes sense. But I think then second priority does belong to the students, and I think third goes to those season ticket holders that have been on the list forever. And if that means that no casual tickets are sold, then that means no casual tickets are sold, because at the end of the day, I think you and I would both agree that I would rather go to no Michigan games this year and watch a half-full stadium than not have Michigan football at all. If it means that I don't get to go to a game in person, but I get to watch them play a full schedule this year, and I get to watch us play Michigan State and play Ohio State and go to wherever else we go on the road and all that kind of stuff, then I'm all for it. I think that there are people who are well more quote-unquote entitled to those tickets than I am, people who have given the university a lot of money, or people who have attended the university, or people who buy season tickets year in and year out. I think that they should be given first priority for sure.
I'm really going to be curious to see if they do that that breakdown. Basically, I totally agree with the students, and first, and like we mentioned before, young people don't seem to be as susceptible to the virus, right? They could be healthy. They can go if they get the virus or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The death rate is less than the flu for a lot of those young people, for the younger generations. So I agree with that. And of course you could space them out and whatnot. Maybe they won't, maybe they will follow the rules. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with the students definitely getting in, and especially because they're paying to go to the school, right? They're paying to go to the school. And that is probably that on most people's list. That is the number one thing about the college experience, right? Is going to your college football team. At least a lot of, we're talking thousands of kids go to that university, education, and then going to the sporting events, right? Because that's the college experience. That is the college experience. It makes it enjoyable. So I think it would be very unfair if they were to basically give like first dibs to season ticket holders. I don't see them doing that. But you never know. Money talks. You never know when the season ticket goes. There's a lot of rich people for Michigan, for U of M, that will say, "Oh, you want to give these students? Okay, well, we'll just feather in 6 figures for tickets or whatever. Not 6 figures. That's a little ridiculous, but a little chump change, So I really think that students first and foremost. Second has to be the alumni and season ticket holders, right? If you're a season ticket holder, you've probably had those season tickets for a long time. You've paid your dues. Now, let's see. We got some questions real quick. So Steve Fox, are they even going to have people in the stands? Michigan, I don't think has announced anything like that. I know Ohio State said 20,000 maximum. Texas Longhorns actually said 50% of the stadium can be that. It's still early, folks, so that could all change.
Yeah, this could all change tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. This was something, was kind of a good thing, good news to say they're going to allow people. I know the NASCAR race yesterday allowed 5,000 people in the stands. Looked like no one because it's such a huge stadium, but I think you could, especially in the big house, you could definitely space it out to where you could allow 25, 30,000 people in the stands, socially distance. You're out in the open. It's all good. You wear the face mask if that's what needs to happen. Get your temperature checked before you walk in.
Absolutely.
Just the precautions that you take for heading into the airport or something like that. So,
exactly.
It's possible to do. But my thing is like, okay, so what's going to happen on like StubHub or something like that, where you do get, if they do hold a lottery, because there's more than 15,000, 20,000 season ticket holders at U of M, right? So you're going to have a lottery, and you're going to have to say, okay, maybe a season ticket holder gets to pick one premium game that they go to, and then maybe like 3, less, tier 2 style games. If that's the case, how much do they get to sell those puppies online if they want to?
They might have to make them non-resaleable. There won't be any resale value, or like you can't transfer them, non-transferable tickets or something like that. You have to have your ID, or I don't know how they would do it. It would be very interesting. I mean, because the university doesn't want those tickets resold, because that doesn't help them any. It's only helping the person who bought them.
Exactly.
It would be very, very, very interesting. I don't know. I think the students deserve to go to the games. I mean, just like I agree. Like I said,
they're less susceptible for a health concern. Totally agree. We got some other things. My mom says thumbs up. Hi, Mom. I assume that's to Michigan having people in the stands. Or Scotty U says, do like the NBA draft. The longer you've had season tickets, the more ping pong balls you get and chance to buy tickets. Oh, nice. Kind of like the lottery draft. That prioritizes mega fans. Plus, you could do the same and prioritize seniors with student tickets. Now, the problem with that, though, Scotty, is the people that have season tickets the longest are very old. Do you want to?
I don't want them in the stadium.
Exactly.
They're the reason the big house is known as a quiet stadium for its size. It's because they all just sit there like a bunch of.
Also health reasons now, G. The older you get, you don't need because a bunch of senior citizens went to a Michigan game. You don't need a hotspot, right? But I like the concept, but Who knows? I don't think it's legal to discriminate against the age, right? Maybe it's enter at your own risk for these adults, the seniors, right? The people that are more susceptible to this. But
For sure.
Steve Fox says, how are they going to do bathroom usage at these stadiums? Probably just like at restaurants. You're gonna have to close off. You have to close off stalls again. I think that's the reason why they're basically reducing the attendance at these stadiums, so you can do all this. Concession lines will be every other line, right? They'll close off certain lines. They'll only have a certain amount of workers at every concession. They'll in the bathrooms, maybe they.
I mean, the people that are running these stadiums aren't. They pull off events every Saturday at the University of Michigan that have 200,000 people. Tailgating in the stadium, they can figure out how to reduce that by 1/10. You know, if we're gonna go from 120,000 to potentially 20,000, right? We're talking about reducing it by like something like 80% of the population of people in there. They'll figure out a way to make it healthy and safe. My concern won't be I'm concerned for their health. I want everyone to be healthy, but it'll just be for who's going to get the tickets and how is it going to be prioritized to make sure that, like I said, those students don't miss out on their experience in college.
Exactly. Yep. No, I would definitely agree, G. I think for a fact, priority number one should be the students getting their tickets. And again, how are you going to do that? You're going to have to, for the kids, it's definitely, you could do the draft thing, right?
Yes.
For example, maybe you want to flip-flop it to where if you're a senior, guess what? You get exactly like Scotty says, right?
Right.
Four balls in the lottery for this game. And again, you could break it out to where you get
one premium and a couple of the
Exactly. So, but no, great discussion. And I think that also segues into our next topic here. Again, thanks everyone for joining. Adam Amble with Garrett Collier on the Age of G Show 2.0 live on Tuesday nights. We're going to get into our fourth and final, not really final topic, but we got some B&O to go over here too, G. Boy, great, fun topics tonight, I'll tell you what. But the fourth topic is kind of more of a personal one, and that is if you haven't noticed, for those of you that follow G on Twitter, he's it's been looking like he's really getting back into the sports memorabilia again, which is awesome, G. That's good stuff. I like seeing some of that the stuff you're posting on that, which is fun. But we're looking at some of our and let us know your guys' opinion as well. For those of you still watching, some of your favorite sports memorabilia. I kind of have three items, G, but you go ahead with like your favorite number one. Let's go your third favorite. How about
third favorite? Okay, so I just got it. It's very, very random. It's a dude that I have mad respect for that nobody else really seems to. I got a Frank Gore signed rookie card. He's a for sure Hall of Famer. He's one of the most slept on running backs, I think, in the history of the league. I think the dude has been an animal for 15 years now. I think he was a rookie in 2005, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it's in his Miami uniform, which I like. I like their uniforms a lot. I think they look cool, and it's signed by him. And it says Go
cool.
Canes.
Yeah.
So that is my third favorite.
Right on. I'm gonna go with let's see, what do I got here? I got to take a look at my notes. Okay, so my third and this just holds true, but it's my Adrian Dantley jersey from when I was really young. It was like my first jersey that I remember. I wore it all the time.
For sure.
My mom will obviously remember this, and I've told this story before too. When he got traded, it was the first time I remember crying. He got traded for Mark Aguirre, but yeah, definitely I rocked that 45, and it wasn't even like a jersey. It was actually like a tank top. I think it was made out of cotton still, but it had the Pistons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had the number and didn't have his name on the back, but it was I believe it was like 45. I think it was, but yeah, and I used to just play ball in that all day, every day. I just used to shoot hoops with that. I had the wristbands, the sweatbands on the old hands, and honestly, I mean, I was only 5-6 years old, G, so it was I was a young buck just doing that, but that one just kind of sentimentally wise holds dear to my heart because it was like the first piece of sporting gear that I remember. So that's probably my number 3. Could be my number 1, but everyone will enjoy my number 1. So
for sure.
What do you got for number 2, buddy?
Number 2, I got. I actually just got this on Saturday. I went to. There's a little like a card show every other Saturday, like 20 minutes down the road from me. So this is my first time checking it out. And a dude, there's no Michigan fans down here, which is great because all the Michigan stuff is super cheap. You saw my John Navarre.
You better not.
autograph.
I was gonna say you better not
That's
be
not
pulling.
number 2. That's not number 2.
When you started saying that, I was like,
I saw your face go white. You were like, he's not about to say that, is he?
what did you say? I pulled this out Saturday and there's no Michigan fans. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Okay, you might as well tell that story real quick, G. So we got time. We got time. So
Yeah.
I get this little text from G on what was it, Sunday morning or whatever. He's
Sunday
like,
morning, yeah.
yeah, he's like, bro, you got to check your Twitter account. I tagged you on something, and I pull it up, and this son of a gun bought a autographed John Navarre. It's in mint condition, right? It is in mint condition. An autographed John Navarre card, a sporting card, or a little card there.
He was a rookie when he got drafted by the Cardinals, man.
Yeah, he was terrible there too. So I think he had 1 start, 5 INTs. Against the Lions too. So yeah, that was interesting. Oh, and by the way, folks, there is a I don't know if you've been able to check it out, G, but at the merch store there is a cool anti-Navarre shirt.
I'm not buying that. What are you trying to say
right
now?
You got the, see, this is the A team right here. This is me,
right.
dude. So this is the A team.
I'm happy to get a G team.
There's a G team on there, but there's a G team that says you're pro Navarre. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, you have to check that out. Yeah, there's some more merch over there too if you check it out. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I thought that's where you were going, dude, and I was gonna be. I was about ready to cut you off right there. So
no, I just I had mentioned before on this that my favorite Michigan player of all time is Mario Manningham, and I got my first jersey card of his. It's one of his Michigan jerseys. It's got a little piece of it's got like a little piece of yellow, which if you're a Michigan fan, you know we don't wear yellow jerseys, so that has to be a piece of one of his numbers, which I think is kind of cool that it's like a patch out of it. And it's like numbered. There's only like 32 of them or something silly like that, super short printed. So it was just him being my favorite player ever at Michigan, and to have a Michigan jersey card of his is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that is awesome. Manningham, of course, great wide receiver. Yeah, easily in my top 5 as well. For Michigan wide receivers, and there's been some good ones, man. Especially probably one of my most, if not my most favorite wide receiver that never wore the number 1.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I would say there's Jason Avant, Marquise Walker. Marquise Walker is probably my number 1.
Yeah.
When it comes to Michigan wide receivers that had never worn the number 1. But yeah,
I liked Junior Hemingway a lot too. He's another random one.
Yeah, that's a boy. I haven't heard his name in a while. That's a good one. I like that. All right, but yeah, my number 2 is something that reminds me of definitely of my dad too, because he took me to like my first card show. Bought me the Shaquille O'Neal Skybox rookie card.
Yeah, those were huge at the time.
Yeah, and it was like my first card. I really wasn't a sporting card collector at the time, but then I just got addicted to it, right? I just got addicted to going to card shops, and my dad would take me there. Yeah. But I remember I thought it was so cool because it had the protective case on it. So it was the first time ever that I had I had packs of baseball, basketball, football cards, but nothing really organized. But I definitely, I got that card. It was all framed with the plastic cover on it and stuff. And I was like, oh wow.
Right. Like how I keep my John Navarre card for sure.
Oh yeah, and same, probably the same thing, buddy.
Gotta protect the value.
Yeah. For those of you who don't, so I texted G back and said, how much did the collector have to pay you to take that card? So, well, one of these days, hopefully John Navarre never tunes into this. It's like,
I'm dying for somebody to reach out. I'm dying.
Oh, we'll have to get him on Twitter somehow. I'm sure. He just works at Elro Steel. It's not like he's doing anything.
I'm gonna mail him that card and see if he'll sign it. See if I can find his address, and then I'll reach out to him.
Oh, wouldn't it be fun though to just like randomly have him on the show one day if he ever? I mean,
I bet you'd be a lot nicer to him in person than you are when you're around.
Well, no, I would have some serious questions to ask him. I really would. I mean, I really would. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a long-standing joke, but the guy just tortured me in college. I couldn't.
I mean, you could ask him all about how he's the second best statistical quarterback in the history of your program.
Well, in terms of attempts as well. So you got to go with rates, man. I'm a rate guy, so I'm a statistical guy. When you throw the ball that many times, of course you're going to have yards, touchdowns, and completions, right? So well,
your starter.
I mean, but look at his completion percentage, terrible. But But no, I was just happy the Chad broke a lot of those records too. But
Oh, Chad's great too. I love Chad.
yeah, I figured so. My mom says all Tom Brady memorabilia.
Hey, tell her I have like 100 and some Tom Brady cards because I've always kept the Michigan players, like even as a kid, and they've just kind of lived wherever with me my whole life, and I finally have them all. I've got like somewhere like between 100 and 150 Tom Brady cards right now. It's stupid.
Oh, geez, you probably I bet my mom would pay top dollar for those, G. So
all right, I'll move them.
Actually, sorry, Mom, but G might have to hold on to those. They might be worth something someday, especially when
someday.
It's funny because especially this day and age where sports cards are not that valuable, so no one really invests in them anymore. So you're gonna see a big droop, and then all of a sudden, who knows, G, 20, 30 years from now. Because there's nothing there, right?
It's really strange since quarantine started. They've really come back like with a vengeance. It's crazy. Like if you look at like prices at like what cards were selling at the beginning of March versus what they're selling at now, the same cards are at like 10 to 20 times what they were worth. It's crazy. Like LeBron James, just basic regular LeBron cards are all going for 10, 20, 30 bucks. When you could have got them on eBay for 50, 75, 80 cents, just 3 months ago. It's really crazy what's going on right now.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, keep us updated on your on what you're getting there too, G, because I miss it too. It's something that I haven't really gotten into.
I'll start tweeting them more. I don't tweet a lot of what I get, but I'll start tweeting some.
Yeah, because I didn't know you grabbed that Manningham piece of memorabilia. That's pretty solid. The Navarre one you can throw away, but. JC says, I have an Adam Amble signed Flying Pig half marathon finished beer napkin, priceless. My man, JC, I'll tell you what,
flip-flop races in the parking garage.
Yep, that's right, with the flip-flops and that random travel.
I want a signed flip-flop. That's what I want.
Oh, that would have been solid, JC.
I need one from both of you guys. I need one from both of y'all.
Just frame it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably a little nasty after that day, but yeah, we wanted to do the old sprint to see who could win. What a great story that is. That's a classic. Drank the bar out of Blue Moon. Because the Flying Pig, the half marathon, geez, we were at the bar probably at 9 a.m. and just started, celebrating. You know how early, because it starts at 6:30. So, but yeah, that was. Oh, my mom says, "Wow, awesome, G, on your Tom Brady memorabilia." Of course, yeah, you have to get her a card or something like that. That'd be fun. Okay, so we're not even to my number 2, are we? Oh yeah, we just did Shaq.
Did Shaq, yeah.
Okay, so we're to your number 1, right?
Yeah, we are.
All right, buddy. What do you got?
My number 1's easy. So Denard Robinson, everybody knows is my favorite Michigan quarterback. They called him Shoelace. I have a card that has a piece of his shoe in it that he signed. It's like, yeah. I'll have to post a picture of it on Twitter at some point. It's signed on the shoe, and the shoe is black, and it's signed in like a white Sharpie. It's a cool card because they called him Shoelace. It's got a piece of his shoe, and I think it's sweet. And he's just my favorite. I love Denard Robinson. He probably will, barring some crazy cool Michigan quarterback coming along, aka hopefully Joe Milton. He will probably go down as my favorite Michigan quarterback for a long time.
Ooh, let's not really so because I'll tell you my number 1, but how about so I don't know if you saw on Twitter as well, and maybe some of you saw it at watching the show. Did you see like they came out with the rankings for the Big Ten quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had McCaffrey at number 10. Milton wasn't even on the list.
I know.
How is that possible? First and foremost,
it's fine with me.
Did you see some of the quarterbacks they had ahead of McCaffrey?
Yes.
And you're telling me that there is, and this is straight from Harbaugh. And of course he'll say that, but I mean I can't disagree with it. Right. McCaffrey and Milton literally head to head, right? And you're not even gonna put Milton on the list. I thought that's why they tweeted it, because of course, I can agree with who's at Fields at number 1.
Right.
I can agree with that. That's
Rocky Lombardi number 2, of course.
The Swede, the Michigan. Good luck with that, JC. If there's any Sparty fans watching, good luck. Rocky Lombardi. Oh, my goodness. Woof. Oh, boy. Talk about an odd-looking dude, too. I'll tell you what. Geez, oh, peace. But anyway, yeah, Rocky. No. So, yeah, Rocky Lombardi, no question, number 2. You know, those are the no-brainers, right? Gee, those are the no-brainers.
Right.
But you had some in between. I was like, what? This is unreal that they would put, you know, these people have had to see McCaffrey play a decent amount. Maybe they think that he's injury prone, or maybe we're just giving way too much credit to our backups, right, of the past couple of years. But I mean, you got to put, if you were to make this list last year, well, you'd put Shea at what, number 3 at the very least.
At the beginning of the year, yeah, 3.
I mean, you got to think number 3 at the max, right? And you got to think that I think McCaffrey is more accurate and definitely probably a better athlete. Maybe
it's going to be so interesting to see how that whole quarterback battle goes. Honestly,
I know, and I just please have the season.
Right, just play football.
Yeah, that's you know what? I'm not. Maybe okay. How about this, G? We just won't complain about anything as long as they have the season, right?
Right, as long as they play.
So yeah, speaking of Michigan quarterbacks, my number 1 is my Tate Forcier, number 5, authentic jersey. For those of you who don't know the story, it was like the first authentic jersey that I ever bought.
You never buy jerseys, yeah?
Yeah, never. You know, like I had that Adrian Dantley jersey. This was probably the second jersey that I ever really had that was an actual like sports player, right?
I'm gonna get you a John Navarre jersey for your birthday.
Well, that's a waste of money, buddy. That's a waste of money.
I'm gonna frame it. I'm gonna get it signed and frame it.
Oh, geez, so it's like almost impossible to throw away, like
exactly
because it's still a Michigan jersey. It's still a Michigan jersey, but no, the Tate Forcier jersey. Of course, we went into it was the year Tate was kind of killing it. You know, the first couple games.
Heisman.
Yep, beat Notre Dame that year, and I was all about it. Me and my buddy Haller, we went to because we were gonna go to the Michigan State game, and we're like, let's buy some Tate jerseys. So sure enough, went in there and there was a blue authentic jersey and a white replica jersey. No difference, really. No difference. The blue one was like the blue authentic was like $260. The white one was like $110 at the M-Den. And I walk up to my buddy Haller and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna see which one he wants, right? So I hold him up. He's like, why don't I take the white one? Of course, he takes the replica jersey. So I wore that thing nonstop until I believe after Harbaugh's first season. That's when I retired it. So I haven't worn it since for a game until Harbaugh's first, because I went with my buddy Veach. Well, you know Veach, obviously. A lot of you viewers know Veach, but he took me to almost pretty much every home game that year. Wore that jersey every home game, and that was a fun year. That was fun.
Yeah.
So that was my number 1. But GG, we took up some good time. Great discussion. We got about 3 minutes left for some B&O. So let's rock that real quick. And
sure.
I got a couple for you. Some that you kind of already answered, but I wasn't sure. So let's go with the first one. Let's see. We got cowboy boots or cowboy hat.
Oh, both.
All right.
That's
Mr. Country Boy here.
We were walking downtown Nashville the other day. We went past the boot barn, and I went in there and I bought a cowboy hat. I was like, I need it. I bought it. I haven't worn it yet, but I got one.
I was just saying, you gonna wear it while you're performing at all, G?
Well, my dad's coming down this weekend for a late Father's Day golf trip. I think I might wear it to the golf course, honestly.
Oh, you gotta get some footage of that.
All right, bet.
We'll get some footage of that. And also, okay, how about this for a topic next week, too? We will go over the golf game between Garrett Collier and his dad, Jeff Collier. JC and G going at it. We need to get
stroke play Friday.
There we go. We need to get some stats. We need to get maybe JC. You're gonna have to let us know how you play because we
might have to come on the air 20 minutes early to discuss the golf game and then get into the regular episode. I'm down.
Oh, there we go. Try to get some footage. Maybe I can put something together. If you send it to me, I can put it on here. Try to edit it and stuff. That'd be a blast.
It would for sure.
That would be awesome. So yeah, I would have to go with neither. Not much of a country guy, so obviously, but yeah, it would be hilarious to see a G. You know, you're not hardcore country with your music, but I mean, I consider it country, but definitely not hardcore cowboy boots and cowboy hat country. But
I was a kid. When I was a kid, that's all I wanted to wear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your folks were big into raising the horses and stuff.
People,
so
yeah.
So that makes sense. But how JC already commented. He's like, how bad did Garrett lose? That's what we're going to discuss.
Oh man.
JC, does G get a handicap when he plays you?
He doesn't. That's what's BS. Is I've only beat him once ever, and I don't get any strokes.
I think JC, don't you have some against handicaps? Isn't he like anti-handicap?
I bet. Give it 3 years when he can't swing anymore because his back's blown out. He's gonna be asking for 6 strokes.
Hey, JC knows just hit it straight and get it in the hole, right? That's all us young cats just want to drive the ball.
Want to hit it 100 miles an hour. Yeah.
That's awesome. His swing. Oh, jeez. Oh boy, but okay, what do we got? Yeah, we got a couple. We'll go over a little bit here, G. Next one is actually goes to your music side. We know you're pretty solid at the guitar, G. Solid singer, but bagpipes or piano, if you were to be able to play one or learn one. Okay, you kind of break that down. Which would you rather learn, and which would you rather know how to play?
That's easy. I would much rather learn piano because it would be useful in my career. But if I could like whip out the bagpipes at a party,
wouldn't that be pimp? That would
like
be
I'm
pimp.
drinking free the rest of the night. It's a wrap.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I would like to be able to play the bagpipes, but if I was going to pick one to learn, I'd pick the piano.
Plus, I love both the sounds. Both those sounds are so
Oh,
fantastic. And there's nothing like a good piano riff. And then the bagpipes just remind you of solid. Especially Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. If there's one song I could learn on the bagpipes, Amazing Grace. I'd probably play it on the show. You know what I mean? Just all day, every day. Just
right.
Get sick of it after a while, right? Okay, buddy. We'll do one more real quick. Let's see. You kind of already answered that one. Ooh, here's one. Would you rather have a sliver or have a hangnail?
Oh, they both suck when you play guitar. I would say a sliver because a hangnail will ruin my whole day. Like. When it gets like gross and infected and like all red around it, I can't play guitar. So I would say a sliver.
Okay, sure. What if you got a sliver like actually in your
then neither.
Your left hand. Okay.
Then none. I don't want either.
I was gonna say because now if you were to get a sliver, let me ask you this, and I know fairly well about chords and chord placement of the fingers. Which finger would you rather get the sliver in?
Pinky for sure. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, buddy.
I play country. I got G, D, and C, and I'm good.
Right. Right. Yep.
That's the truth, brother.
That's what I tell people. You want to listen to? No, I'm just kidding, buddy. No, it's a good time. But that's all we have for tonight, folks. G, thanks a lot for coming on in today. It was good to have you. Great discussions. I think we could have went on longer with each and every one of those topics. So next week, don't miss it. We're going to learn how the golf match between G and his dad, JC. Obviously everyone knows G, but JC, solid watcher, one of our top watchers and commenters. So of course, JC, that'll be a good time. I'm glad to see JC heading down to see you too, G. That'll be a good time. But for tonight, again, don't forget, folks, to head on over to the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in the M Factor, look for the M Factor icon, click on it, hit subscribe. Really appreciate it. Get us that viewership so we can spread it past the Facebook Live audience. And then don't forget to head on over to the merch store too and pick up some t-shirts, pick up coffee mugs, sweatshirts, anything that you guys want. There are some new items on there. JC might like one of them on there that I put up this last week. He'll rather enjoy it. Probably not, but just mentioning it. Maybe go check it out, JC. But there's a link to the merch store in the description. G, anything to add tonight, buddy?
No, man. Glad to be back. I'll see you next Tuesday for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, G. All right. This is Adam Amble, Garrett Collier. Thanks for joining the Age of G 2.0. We will see y'all next week.